So good evening, my name is John Leone, I'm the moderator. I sit in that big chair up on the stage. My job is to run town meeting. I introduce all the articles, I call the speakers, I recognize people to vote, I recognize the motions, I get seconds on the motions, then I tell you when we're done talking, I tell you what we're going to vote on, and I run the vote, and then I announce the vote total. You've gotten a bunch of handouts here tonight, and you should have all received in the mail, I hope you've received it, some other materials. What you may not have received is your redevelopment board report. So if you haven't gone and picked that up, I picked up a bunch. We can get it. You can get it afterwards. I just have to check off whose name it is because we're kind of making sure only town meeting members get them because the printing cost on those was about $680, so we can't make enough for everybody in town. So what we're giving you tonight, in the materials, you got my letter kind of explaining a little bit of how town meeting works and the rules. The rules we run by are town meeting time. It's a booklet that you can buy. If you want to get one, you can either see me the first night of town meeting, or I'll check and see if the Mass Moderators Association website's up and running. It's kind of balky. If it runs, you can buy it right off that. Otherwise, I'll get a check from you for $25 and I'll order it for you and get it within a couple days. That is our rules of order. We don't use Robert's Rules of Orders or anything like that. We use town meeting time. It's very simple rules. They're well stated. And in one of the things you got, this parliamentary guide is directly out of that. These are the rules we follow. I follow these rules, and that's what we operate by. In the old days, we used to kind of have no rules. That was before I took over and got elected the first time. And since that, we've cut our meeting times down by about half because we do follow the rules. What we do now is we electronically vote. Everybody is issued a clicker. I'll start it here. You can play with it. There are 10 buttons. We only use 1, 2, and 3. 1 is yes, 2 is no, and 3 is abstain. We don't count the abstentions. I'm not sure why you would abstain anyways, because you're here. Yeah, play with it. There's only 2 things with those. Never turn it off. That's the biggest problem. People will turn it off because they think they're saving batteries. The batteries last for 300 hours, literally. The company we rent them from puts new batteries in before the first town meeting. There's more than enough battery life. Don't turn it off. The other thing is, don't pocket vote. So when I announce the vote, Tim Lathwood is our voting administrator. He turns on this green light. Once the light's on, you have 20 seconds to pick yes or no. And the device actually says, if you press 1, it talks to the base station and sends back a recognition that you voted yes or no. If you look at it, if it voted yes and that's what you wanted, good. If you don't, if you want to throw, as long as the green light's on, you can press and re-vote or change your vote. Once the green light's off, put it in your pocket, because we found out some people were voting and then sticking it in their pocket or their purse or something, and they would inadvertently press another button and change their vote. So wait till the light's out before you put it away. We give it to you like that, but there are lanyards if you feel you want a lanyard to go around your neck. The kids in the back will have lanyards for you. So what happens the first night of town meeting is, or every night of town meeting, you come in, the front doors, facing the front of the hall, there's a set of doors on the left, go through that door. There's one of the assistant town clerks sitting there, Ms. Janice Weber. Janice will get your name, check you off on the list, make sure you're there. You go around the table, you tell the kids what your name is, what precinct, and they'll give you your clicker. It has a number on it, and that's going to be you for the whole time. At the end of the night, there's buckets outside the door, little blue return clickers here. Throw them in the bucket. The kids will put them back and give it back to you the next night. Don't bring it home, because then I'm going to have to call you the next day. I want my clicker back. They're $100 each. So if we lose them, theoretically we're supposed to charge you. We haven't had that happen yet, because no one's everybody's brought them back. So most people just throw it in the bucket and bring it back to us. And that's how we vote with these. And the next day, how you voted is on the town website. So we're representative democracy, and one of the reasons we got these was so that we could give our constituents a record of how we voted, and it also works as attendance. We know if you came or not. Not that we're going to scold you if you don't, but if you don't come, you're not going to get voted in again next time around. So that's how we vote, and you'll get used to it real quick, and I'm going to go over that again the first night to make sure everybody knows. So the other thing we're doing this year, well, we've been doing, I'm slowly getting pushback from the town departments. Yep.
You should, I guess, mention that each one is assigned a clicker.
Yeah.
You have your number. Just remember your number. You'll always pick up the same clicker.
The same number, yeah. So you'll figure it out right away. You'll be number 89. I think last year I was 89. The year before I was 90. Yeah, because it's programmed to you.
It's programmed to you.
Yeah.
Or I have somebody else's clicker.
Right, and you hit your 1 or your 2, and then you hit the send button?
You don't even have to do that.
Just the number.
Just the number, and it sends. It takes the machine, the base station polls the room. Takes 6 seconds to poll the room and confirm with everybody's clicker. We do it 3 times, 3 6-second intervals, and then that's why we go for 20 seconds to make sure everybody took their time and voted. I mean, it's instantaneous basically, but it's every 6 seconds it re-initiates a poll. So we studied it for a while, and the people that understood all that stuff thought they were good, and this was a good system, and we've been very happy with it.
No flubs, no...
No. Just sometimes if your clicker dies or it goes wrong, just hold it up and yell out point of order, and I'll say, well, I'll see your clicker in there, and I'll just stop the meeting and direct you over to talk to the voting administrator. There's a town employee who talks to Tim, and between the two of them, they'll get you a new one right away. It takes them 2 seconds to issue you a new handheld. So we vote with those, we follow these parliamentary rules. So this year, I wanted to go all electronic and get rid of paper, because we waste a lot of paper in town meeting, a lot of paper, and we spend a lot of money in printing and postage. You received you should have all received 2 packages from the Selectman's office. If you looked at the postage, it cost $4 total to mail those to us. We didn't mail the ARB reports because it would have costed about $5 to mail each one of those to the 252 of us, and it's just ridiculous. Everything is online. I don't know if you visited the town meeting webpage, but all of these reports are now online, and you can click on it, and they're interactive. You can find out what exactly we're voting on, and you should have signed up for the town meeting, the TMM listserv. That was in my letter that you received. Go in and sign up for that. If you go online, you can just click through and get it, or type that whole big long thing in, and down the bottom of the page is a way to sign up. What we'll do at anything that we're publishing online, all of these reports, substitute motions, et cetera, get pushed out to you through that email. So you'll get an email at the end of the day. We like to send it around 4 o'clock. Hey, here's 6 things that are getting published. So you'll be able to look at them right then and have them before the meeting. And that way, everything is there. So I wanted to do that this year. And then it occurred to myself and Dave Good, who's the town IT guy, we're not sure if the network can handle it. So we're giving you all paper this year, but we'd like you to bring your laptop, bring your tablet, or if you can read on your phone. It'd be kind of awkward. And we want to kind of stress test the system. So bring your paper, but bring a tablet and use it during the meeting. See if we can do it. If not, we may have to beef up the system, but this is our one chance to kind of work. And if it works, next year you're not going to get paper unless you have a need, a handicap, or something that you need to have paper. Then the offices will print it out for you and we'll give you a piece of paper. but you'll be surprised how much paper we waste. They printed 300 of these. I bet at the end of the meeting, 150 go in the recycling without even having been looked at. So that's one of the things we're trying, and that's what this letter was. It's kind of giving everybody a warning. This is happening. So I saw someone you have your iPad. So bring it, test it out, see if we can make the system work. What you're going to also get is those, and you'll also get reports of various committees like this. This is the Town Meeting Procedure Committee. We met, we had our discussion about a warrant article, we gave a recommended vote. So that brings me to how this really works. This is the warrant. This is put together by the selectmen. You can start submitting warrant articles the first Friday in December through the last Friday in January. The warrant is open during that time. 10 people can get together and submit an article here. I think we had about 12 this year, citizen articles. The rest are articles from the ARB, the Arlington Redevelopment Board, the Planning Department, the Finance Committee, the Selectmen for all the bylaws. So these are all the articles in this. The warrant is literally a warning to the citizens of Arlington. This is what we're going to discuss. This is all we're going to discuss. We're not going to discuss anything else. And I'm not going to let you discuss anything else because it's not in the warrant. There's nothing we can do about it. We're not going to waste time. We can discuss the school budget in an up or down vote. We can't discuss whether we like so-and-so teacher or we think the gym program's any good. Not happening here. I'll cut you off. The crowd will yell scope because they think you're out of scope. Scope means what is within the scope of that article. What does that article warn me we're going to talk about? And if it's outside of that narrow definition of scope, which is my call, as the warrant, as a moderator, I get to decide if it's in scope or not. If it's outside of scope, I'm going to tell you, I'll cut you off. But the meeting members will start yelling scope. Now, they're not afraid to give me an idea I'm letting something go that shouldn't. And the other thing you're going to see is we have a clock. 7 minutes, but there's an article to change that. So it's 7 minutes the first time to the mic, and at the end of your 7 minutes, you're going to get a red flashy light, and it's going to be an annoying sound, and I'm going to tell you time's up. I'll also give you a warning. 2 minutes, 1 minute, wrap it up. If you're coming to the very end of your speech and everybody can tell and it sounds like you're making sense and not just rambling, I'll hold the clock for about 10 seconds. But don't expect that because they're going to start yelling at you. It's your neighbors, but they're there to conduct business. So what we actually vote on, yeah.
I'm sorry, to submit an article between those dates, I didn't get a chance to look at this yet, is there a form that?
Yeah, the selectmen have forms online or in their office, and it just literally says warrant submission form, and it says, you write down, I want to make a bylaw that says we have to paint all the yellow lines down the middle of the street fuchsia. And you get 10 people to sign it, and it'll go on the warrant.
Does it have to be 10 people within your precinct or anywhere?
Any 10 people. Stand in front of Stop and Shop and get 10 voters in the citizen of Arlington. And on a special town meeting, it has to be 100. So do it during a regular town meeting. Because a special town meeting, if you get 100 people, they have to call a special town meeting. And it costs us about, I think it's about $3,000 a night to run town meeting. I think it's around that. So we don't really want to do specials at the drop of a hat because it's expensive. But that's the price of democracy. So once we get through the warrant and you see what we're voting on, put it aside. Don't even look at it again. Because we don't vote on the warrant. We vote on, I'll use the selectmen because you got that. Where'd my selectmen's report go? You got a book from the selectmen. In that, it will be, so let's pick Article 28. I'll say we're now on Article 28. We have the recommended vote of the Board of Selectmen before us. And in there, it says voted. And there's bold words under voted. That is what we voted on. That's what we're going to vote on. That's what we're going to discuss, not what's in that. This is actually the vote. This is what we will be discussing. And just because the selectmen like it and they want to do this, doesn't mean we have to. You can make a substitute motion or an amendment to that motion. And if you think you want to do that, contact me. My numbers on those papers that got emailed to you and got delivered to your house. Contact me by phone, contact me by email. I'll help you. Doug Heim, the town lawyer, will help you write a substitute motion or write an amendment to any of these motions. We want to make sure they're right. They want to make sure they do what you want to do and that they make sense in the bylaws. We want to make sure all our bylaws things are in the right places and that they're sensical. So this is what we're going to discuss on those. So the selectmen will get up and say, under Article 28, this is what we want to do. No one's going to read that proposed vote to you, because the very first night we're going to go through these little song and dance. You'll see the Board of Selectmen will get up, I have the report, and I'll call for someone to second it, and they'll go up and hand me one. And then I say, motion to receive. We receive all the reports. Then we take a vote that all the motions are now in front of us, so we don't have to have a motion to take the vote under Article 28 and get it seconded every time. They're just there. So this is not making sense to you now, but it will then. But these are the votes that we talk about. And that's the same for the ARB report. You'll get the FinCom, the Finance Committee votes. In the Finance Committee is all the money votes. They're going to be on the table downstairs in the back of the hall the first night. So pick one of those up for sure, because they just got theirs printed, I think yesterday, and they're not going to have time to send them out. So you pick those up. They're probably, I think they're already online. So if you want to look at the finance reports, those are all online as well. So we go through the articles, starting on Article 1 to the end. We might move some things around, like the Minuteman High School. We give them, like $6 million a year? Yeah, I think around $6 million every year. That, Dr. McQuillan, the administrator, has to go to all of it's now 12 towns? Yeah, a couple backed out. So he has to go to every town meeting for the 12 towns, the 13 towns. So I schedule him for a day certain so he can come to us and tell us why we're the biggest contributor, so we like to see him. And we want to find out how our money's being spent. So he comes and gives us a nice presentation. We have some questions for him, and then we give him his money. But we want to make sure that we're being treated fairly, because I think we have about 25 to 30% of the kids are our kids. So we get the biggest chunk of the budget. So besides that, we're going to follow them right through, unless someone has approached me beforehand and asked if we can change it, and then we'll make arrangements to table things and move things around. But otherwise, we're starting at 1 and going through. So the first night, we're going to start with zoning, and we're going to keep going with zoning until they're done. A lot of controversial zoning articles this year. We're going to spend probably 2, 3, maybe 4 nights on zoning. That's my guess. It might be more, depending on how much we talk about it. So that's what we vote on. There's presentations. If you want to get up and speak to address any of these, even if you don't have a substitute motion or an amendment, when I call the article, people are going to start raising their hands. I write down your name. If I can't remember your name, Beth, I'm going to like the lady in blue sitting in the center row on the right, 2 chairs in. And if we're still talking about it the next night and you'd raised your hand, sit in that same seat, because I'm going to look over and say, where'd she go? Oh, and I'll skip over you because I didn't know your name yet. But I will eventually, if you speak a lot, I will eventually figure your name out. I think I have most everybody's, the repeat offenders' names. Some people want to get up and speak on every article. It's my prerogative who I call, and I don't call them every time because everybody should have a shot. That's how you get recognized to speak. Some people think they can come up before the meeting. Oh, put me down for Article 15. I really want to talk about it. Oh, yeah. No, I'm not going to do it. Only if you have a substitute or an amendment, then I will call you first, because we want to get what your substitute or your amendment out on the table right away so we can talk about it all at once. Eventually, you're going to notice that we are beating that dead horse to death. We'll beat it to death. We'll get the paddles out. We'll wake it up. We'll beat it to death again. We're sick of talking. You can move the question, but you can only say, it's in our bylaws, you raise your hand, you get up, you say, I make a motion to move the previous question make a motion to move the question and all items under that article. If you say anything but that, because that's in our bylaws, sorry, you can't move the question. You can't terminate debate. Let's vote. And then we vote on that, and 2/3 of the members have to vote in favor of it, and if they do, then we're done talking. So I had 2 shills. One of them didn't get reelected, so hopefully the other guy's going to show up, because you can tell when we're done, or at least I can tell. And I would call one of my 2 guys, and they'd get up and move the question for us. Everyone would groan, oh my God, he's going to move the question. But then 90% of the people will vote to terminate debate. So even those votes we'll take with the clicker. I use the clicker on every vote. Other town moderators don't, but I don't see why we should pay for the system and not use it. So I like to use it for everything. Yeah, if you have any questions, just interrupt me.
So if someone or your shill moves to terminate the debate, he says it properly,
Yes.
then the room votes on whether the debate
Yeah.
is terminated? So if you don't get 2/3, what happens?
We keep talking
About that particular thing?
about that article until we run out of people who want to talk, or someone else gets up to terminate debate.
Can you please explain how we go from the warrant article to the select board bill packet?
So the warrant article is literally a warning to the citizens of Arlington, we're going to talk about these things. That warning, that is delivered to every house in Arlington by the advocate. We pay to publish it, we pay the advocate to publish it and deliver a copy of the paper with the warrant to every household in Arlington. So that's like 19,000 of these things we have them distribute. Everybody's now been warned. And that's the last time we, as town meeting members, will look at it. Because now we're just concerned about the votes in the Board of Selectmen's report, the Finance Committee report, the ARB report, the Capital Planning Commission report. You got one from the Town Meeting Procedure Committee. And those are the recommended votes that we're going to discuss. Yep.
So the select board report is the blue one, the ARB report is white.
Yeah.
Those cover different articles?
Yes.
Okay.
So ARB covers zoning. The redevelopment board is strictly zoning. Selectmen are everything else except for money. Anything to do with the money, finances, is the FinCom. So the Finance Committee reports, which we're going to get Monday, are the cash articles, and the selectmen won't report on those. And if they do report on them, we give deference to the Finance Committee. And because the Finance Committee is they're appointed by myself, the head of the Finance Committee, and the head of the pension board. And there's 21 of them, one from each precinct. They review all the recommended and proposed budgets from all the town departments, from the the town manager's office, and everybody can go over that, and they come up with their recommended votes. They're very, very efficient. You'll see their report. It's very well done. My only problem with it is it's like 0.8 type, and it's just really hard to read. I've asked them to get it bigger, but they can't fit it on the page. They'll give you the last couple of years, and they'll give you projections out over 5 years so we can see where we're going. And they're very efficient. They do a good job, and they're all volunteers. And if you have any questions of them, just ask them. Get up and ask. Well, my favorite, I first got elected, I noticed that the Board of Selectmen got a brand-new copier machine every year. And I know that my father and I just bought a new copier, and I'm like, wait, it's going to last me 20 years. 3 years in a row, I got up and says, how come the selectmen get a new machine? Where did the old one go? How many copies are they making? They answered the question, and finally they put in the report an answer to my question, knowing I was going to get up. And they said that, oh, the selectmen get a machine, but then next year they give it to that department, and they get a new machine. And then they give it to that department. So these machines are getting passed around. But who knew? All I saw was $10,000. You know, what the heck? So they will answer your questions to that level of detail. Or if you have a big question, how come we're going to run out of money next year and need an override? They'll tell us, and they will tell us. Those are the votes that we vote on. So I'll see people in the seats doing this. It's like, well, what are you doing? And it's like town meeting members that have been members for 10 years, 15 years, looking at the warrant. It's like, come on. And they'll get up to the front of the room and they'll say, I don't see that in the vote. It's like, you got to get your recommended votes in the reports. We start at 8. We start at 8. 8 o'clock, we sing the national anthem, and we get going. Even if I see a line out the door, I'm still starting at 8. So get here at 7:45. There were warrant articles to move it earlier to 7:30. I thought that was too early, and so did the crowd, because it doesn't give you time to get home, have dinner, kiss the kids goodnight, and get off to the meeting. So get here at 7:45, get in line, check in, get your stuff. At 9:30, we take a 10-minute break. Usually some high school group is selling cookies or goodies in the side at the break, so you can go out and get, the Minuteman kids make really nice treats. And the high school tennis girls always have good treats too. So they're there beforehand, so if you don't want to wait in the big line, you can go during your 5 minutes before and get your treats so you don't have to wait in line. But people use that as a social time. So when the timer goes off, though, I'm gaveling you back into the room. Come on, sit down, we're going to start again. And I call someone to the floor. And if you still want to sit out in the hall and talk, well, all right, but, don't bother the speakers because we're going again. And we go till 11. If we wrap something up at 5 of 11, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn for the night. But 8 to 11, that's our time. It's a late night. By the time you get home, you're a little wired and it takes a few minutes. But if we stopped too much earlier, then it's just more nights that we're going to be there. One of the other benefits of getting here early is it's easier to find a parking place. You got to park in the street. I've asked the cops if they will not ticket people who park out there, because you got to now pay for those stupid meters till 8 o'clock, I think. There's some spots in the town yard, in the the town hall parking lot over here. You can also park behind the senior center. There are limited spots there. Otherwise, you're on the street. If you can find someone to carpool with from your precinct or find another way down, go for it. But the earlier you get here, the better off you are to find a spot. If you live close enough, it's kind of nice to walk. But, if you're living up in a good distance away, it's not going to happen. They're open at 7. And I'm usually here by 7:30, 7:15, 7:30, and doors are open. I'm getting ready, making sure everything's good for the night. If you have any questions, you can come up and see me at that point. And then if you have to leave during the meeting, just get up, walk out, throw your clicker in the box, and off you go. We don't take attendance during the meeting at any point, but we'll know if you left because your clicker's no longer responding. Put your phones on vibrate or some other means of silencing them. You can bring them and use them, obviously, but just we don't want them ringing. That's kind of annoying. But it's going to be interesting with everybody. Hopefully, a couple hundred people use their devices, so it's going to be an interesting little difference. And Reiko's husband, Paul, always gives us the baseball scores. You can see him over there. He's over there like this,
So I know, yeah.
doing this, and it's like, okay, and he'll get up. Point of order, Red Sox 8, Orioles 2. And it's like, and he'll sit back down. So that's a general overview. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, who introduces the articles?
The proponent. So on the citizen articles, if the ARB or the selectmen haven't adopted it and submitting their own recommended vote, the citizens have to get up and introduce their own article. They have to submit a motion, and it'll get accepted and vote, so we have something to debate. The selectmen will get up on theirs and say, and if they have something to say about it. Otherwise, there are some in there that we do every year, the housekeeping articles, and those are, a lot of them I've put on the consent agenda. I'll go over that in a second. So they'll get up, and if they want to talk about it, like the one I picked out, 28, is to change a committee. They're going to tell us why it would be a good idea to change the committee and what the committee wants to do, et cetera. And then people will raise their hand and ask questions about it. Otherwise, if it's going to just be housekeeping, like, yeah, here's money for the parades. They get 7 minutes. Everybody gets 7 minutes. Yeah. But you can request additional time. You have to get up and say, Mr. Moderator, I request 30 minutes to present this article. And I'm going to say, 30 minutes? All right. And then the meeting has to vote on it to give them the time. Don't always bet you're going to get your time. They've turned people down. And especially, some people.
But it's like, if the select board comes up, they just get,
7 minutes. Yeah.
they can't bring in extra speakers.
No, they get their 7 minutes. And you can't yield your time, like in Congress. I yield my time to the gentleman from Missouri. No, it's your time. When you're done, sit down. I'll call the next speaker. You don't get to say, I'd like Joe Green to come up and talk about that. Oh, good. I don't care. Sit down.
Substitute motions.
They, 7 minutes.
No, but they come near the beginning.
Yeah, well, they're going to come up. I'm going to know. Because if you have a substitute motion, you have to get it to me and to the meeting 48 hours before we're going to discuss it. That's a rule I put in because I'm a slow reader, and I'll admit it. I can't be reading a 3-page substitute motion that I just was handed, try and digest it while people are talking and explaining it to me. That's not fair. So I made a 48-hour rule. Except for the first night, if you want to have a substitute motion or a motion to amend that's not simple, then it has to be in our hands 48 hours beforehand. So it's when we think we're going to discuss it Wednesday, get it to us Monday. We're going to
Members have copies.
They have to be given to me. I'm going to get it pushed onto that TMM list, and it's going to be put onto the website. And this year, there'll be 252 paper copies in the back of the room. Yep. So those substitute motions will be there. So I'm already getting them. You're going to start seeing them probably tomorrow. Wait. Are they open tomorrow? No. Bummer.
Not even in the morning.
Good Friday. I think they're closed.
Is that the afternoon?
Yep, it's all closed. So you may get some today if you signed up. Otherwise, you're going to get some Monday. But they're going to be all, like the first one I've received is for Article 16. You'll get that Monday, but we won't get to 16 till Wednesday.
So you take them in order, one, two.
Yeah, yeah, because why not? I mean, numerical.
What days of the week do we meet?
Monday, Wednesday,
Monday, Wednesday.
yeah.
And how long did you say?
I think this year, again, my guess this year is 8 meetings, 8 nights. That's my guess. The last 3 years, we did 6 nights. We had shorter warrants. This year, we had an extra 20 articles over last year. We got a lot of zoning articles, so it's going to take an extra couple nights. It's not that bad. As long as we get out before June when it starts getting hot, because there's no AC. So,
And the town meeting members sit on the floor?
and the floor.
Yeah, okay.
And just town meeting members. The gallery up here is for the rest of the town to sit. Town meeting members can get recognized and speak. If a town citizen wants to speak, they would contact one of their precinct town meeting members, and that person would bring it to my attention, and we'll call that citizen right at the beginning of the article. My theory there is if someone's paying attention enough to want to speak at town meeting, let's give them the benefit of the doubt and get them right up and let them speak. But town meeting members, we're just a great unwashed. You're going to get called when you get your chance.
So
Yeah.
the order is that someone who's, let's just say it's the select board,
Yeah.
they come in, they introduce their article. Then someone theoretically could have a substitute motion,
Yeah.
and they come next.
They'll come next.
And
Sometimes there's 2 or 3 substitutes. Sometimes there's a couple amendments. And those people all,
don't they interact? I mean, some of them.
that becomes my problem. That's where I have to decide what the proper order of vote will be so they make sense. And yes, they do often will cancel each other out, or they'll change words. Of this one will change words here, and this one will change words here. But that's my problem, and I will explain it to you what my theory is. And if you don't understand it, raise your hand. Tell me. I'm not sure what I'm voting on. You know, you're supposed to say point of order. So I recognize you. Point of order, what do you want? And I don't understand. Okay, let's try again.
How often does that happen? People say they don't understand.
Uncomplicated ones. We have some give and take until,
So it's okay to do that?
yeah, because we have to know what we're voting on. And it has to make sense to all of us.
Right.
Because once we vote, we have now passed a bylaw for the town, and it's going to be in the books.
Right.
It doesn't make sense. And the clerk, Stephanie Lucarelli, has to know what we're voting on so that she knows what to submit to the state. The state has to approve everything we do. So we have to send it off to the state for their approval. And it has to make sense. That's why I like to see them beforehand. That's why Doug Heim likes to see him. He's the town council. That's why he likes to see him beforehand. So we understand what you want to do, and what you want to do is what you've written. So we'll work with you to do that. Like on 27, it's shortened the time for the speaker. The procedure committee voted against it. I worked with the guy to write his substitute motion to do what he wanted to do. Because if it's going to be in there, I want it to be right, even though I don't agree with it. So we're working with people to make sure things happen the right way. Yeah?
I went to the zoning meeting last week at the BRAC.
Yeah.
That was really interesting. But I'm not sure, when I looked at the calendar, I don't know, can you just go to any of the committee meetings? Are they all open to the public, or would it say open to the public?
Okay.
Like the finance committee meeting or
Yes,
the
so-
redevelopment one that's before our first meeting?
I just got to repeat the question for the mic, for the world. So what you're asking about is, are all town meetings open to public? Yes. Every meeting of any committee of the town is subject to the Massachusetts State Open Meeting Law, which means any public meeting has to be advertised and posted in advance, where it is, and everybody can go. They cannot exclude anybody because of open meeting law. If they do, they can get in trouble with the Ethics Commission and the Attorney General because it's open government. We can't have secret meetings. That's just not how an open democracy works. So you can go to any ARB meeting, you can go to all the select board meetings, all the FinCom meetings. Any meeting in town are posted online. There's a calendar, and outside of the clerk's office on that bulletin board. So yes, they are all open to the public.
But you may not be able to sing.
Yeah, just because you
Only in town meeting.
Yeah, if I recognize you.
For the zoning articles that are going to be part of, that are going to be voted on this year, will people from the ARB be present to answer questions?
Yes.
Okay.
So the question is, who's at town meeting? The 252 town meeting members sit in the 4 sections facing the front of the stage. There's not assigned seatings. You can sit wherever you want. Most people find a chair and find a group of friends and sit in that area, and they remarkably will sit in the same seat year after year after year. You might sit in somebody's seat. You might get one of these. You're sitting in my seat. It's not his seat, but he's sat there every year for the last 20 years. He'll come in early to get his seat back. But you can sit anywhere you want. You'll find some people you like chatting with, and you'll sit there. Different cliques sit in different spots. I'm not going to tell you who they are or what they are, but it becomes obvious. Around the front of the hall, as I'm facing the crowd, is me, town clerk, and the stenographer. The whole thing's, we get dictation on the whole thing. Right in front of me is the Select Board Administrator, Marika Pelka. Next to her is Doug Heim, the town attorney. And then there's the Finance Committee, Al Tosti, Charlie Foskett, who's the head of the Capital Planning Committee, and then some more Finance Committee people, and then some of the other department heads. And then over to my left is the ARB table. They sit over there. The head of planning will be there. Jenny Raitt will be there. Sometimes one of her administrators is with her, but then the planning members of the planning board who are, the ARB, who are town meeting members will be there. There's always the chairman and 1 or 2 others. To my right is the head of the selectmen, the chair of the select board, and then the rest of the select board will sit there. Then to their far right is personnel, Karen Malloy, fire chief. Police chief usually sits to the left. Fire chief sits over there. The other town councils will be there, and the other heads of department, Mike Rademacher, head of Public Works, he kind of moves. Sometimes he's there and sometimes he's there. IT's over there, Dave Good's over there, then there's the clicker table.
And that's up on the stage.
No, they're on the floor around the front of the room. I'm on the stage, me and Stephanie, town clerk, and Gabe, the stenographer, up on the stage. We're up there so we can see. We're not special. I just have the throne. What else do I want to tell you? Yeah.
So I'm on my second. I'm due the end of May, early June.
Oh, we'll be
So, so I'm asking because I need a lot of bathroom breaks. Is that?
You
I
can
mean,
get
I
up
don't want to
whenever
miss
you
the
want.
vote. I just want. I'll do my best.
I would suggest, though, not sit in the middle of an aisle.
Right.
So, I don't know where the ladies' room is. Oh, it's right there? Okay.
Right as you walk in downstairs, it's right down.
Yeah, but then there's that nice bathroom right there. There's a, yeah,
So you can maybe,
Just sit-
like, move, you can move the chair a little bit and just create the space for you there.
just sit near the edge, so you can just get out and walk out and come back. No one will even care.
Yeah.
And if anybody does have a medical problem, or needs something, we've got the chief of police and chief of fire here. And, yeah, a lot of nurses and doctors, and it's happened before. We had a guy collapse up here. I think he had it wasn't a stroke, had something going on. A seizure, yeah. And we didn't really stop the meeting, but we all kind of hesitated because people ran up to help them, and then the ambulances came. It's quite exciting. But there's enough people to help if something goes wrong. But, you know, not
People
gonna.
will know if I'm in labor for sure.
Yeah.
It won't be very quiet.
No. Does anyone have any other questions? I know I've gone over a whole lot. I've probably forgotten something.
So the 9:30 break is 15 minutes?
It's 10, but I put 7 minutes on the clock because I don't want to reprogram it, and then I'd let it run for a minute or two. So it's about a 10-minute break.
So how will, just to pick a particular one, the town procedures report?
Yeah.
You have a particular recommendation, and the select board said with great respect that they have another viewpoint.
Yes.
So
we have 2 recommended votes on
yes,
that.
and yours,
I'm giving, I appeared before the select board on that on behalf of town meeting and the procedure committee. I told them basically, butt out. This is legislative business here. The executive leads the legislative alone. You can vote however you want, but don't give a report. They decided they were going to give their own report and their rationale. As the procedure committee, we met with Mr. Jacoby Brown, the presenter, the guy who wrote the warrant article. We heard him out, and we decided we liked 7 minutes. And that's why our recommended vote is no action. No action means no, we're not going to do what you want to do. We're just going to let it die. We're not going to do anything. So I'm, being the moderator, I've decided I'm going to give our report the preference, and they're going to have to put theirs in as a substitute motion. And they're going to get up and say why. Okay?
you don't know that they will.
Yeah, no, it's in their report.
No, but
Yeah,
Do you know that they will give a substitute motion?
yeah, they've given a substitute in their report.
Oh, it says substitute as opposed to their recommended vote?
Well, they're going to have to give us a substitute.
They're going to have to.
Yeah.
They don't know, right?
What's that, 27?
I don't know.
Or is, yeah, I guess 26. Yeah, so there should have said substitute.
See, it doesn't say.
Oh, well, then I'm just not going to allow it. Get in my way. Yeah, there should have said substitute motion. I'll talk to Doug Heim beforehand, and they'll make theirs a substitute motion.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll let them put it in as a substitute.
And then we can speak on it.
Yeah, then they can speak on it. Someone has to put something on the table to talk about it. If it's a recommended vote of no action means we're not going to do anything about this. We're just going to vote no and vote it down and move on. Unless someone makes a substitute motion or on a no recommended vote of no action, we're not going to discuss it because there's nothing to discuss. There's nothing on the table to discuss.
So then presumably anybody in the hall could raise their hand and ask to speak on 5 minutes or 7 minutes?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But only if there's a substitute motion.
Yeah. And they will make one. Did you have a question?
The head of the superintendent of schools, is she there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the school committee, Kathy Bodie will be there. Not every night. We'd like to use another one we kind of schedule when she's going to come in because, you know, why should she sit there for 10, 7, 6, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 nights? I think almost 5 school committee members are also town meeting members, at least 5, and they always, not that they have any preference, but they always sit front row left. That's where the school committee sits. Not that they have any special reason to sit there, but that's kind of their traditional place to sit. And they're always there for, if you have any questions, you can go up and ask them, but they're just there as town meeting members. And the school committee will, on the special town meeting, they're going to give us a nice presentation about the high school. Yeah, I don't know if any of you took the opportunity to go to the presentation they gave last week at the high school. It was really quite informative. They're going to give it to us again. It's a pretty good presentation. They're going to ask for a half hour, and we have to vote on it. But it's $290 million. I mean, a half hour is nothing. So those are the cast of characters who were there. If you have any questions about any of it, email me. I'll get back to you. Call me. My phone numbers are on all my letters. It's on the website as well. So any other questions?
Are you starting with zoning?
Yeah, well, the first article, we get to select the Minuteman walk in, fife and drum us the national anthem. Pastor will give us an invocation. Then we have Article 1, which is the state of the town, which is 4 minutes because we passed a bylaw a few years ago. Announcements get 4 minutes. Then we do Article 2, which is the election, which we've already done. Then Article 3 is reports. Everybody gives reports and gives their reports in 7 minutes. But those are just introducing the reports. They're not going to talk about them. Some committees will talk about their report then if they don't have anything on any of the warrant articles. Like Envision Arlington, who's helping put this on, may give us a report. They used to be called Vision 2020, but changed the name. Some committees will give short reports. Then we do measure of wood and bark. Then we do the assistant moderator. Then we get into the articles. It's going to be almost 9:30 before we actually start doing real business.
What's the measure of the wooden bar?
So it's a colonial article, colonial position from the colonial days. If you bought a cord of wood and you think you got shorted, you call the measurer of wood and bark. They come out and they're going to measure. Make sure you get your cord. Or if you buy a yard of bark and you don't think you got a yard, they'll come out and measure it and tell you whether you got shorted or not.
And so what's this?
It's an honorary position.
And they give a report on what?
No, they don't give a report. We just elect them.
And what do they do?
Nothing. It's an honorary.
They don't get to talk or anything?
No, they get. It's usually. Is Elsa still a member?
I don't think so.
Yeah, she resigned. So usually we give it to the oldest town meeting member.
Oh, okay.
This is kind of an honorary thing.
That's great.
I think it might be John. Warden, maybe. Yeah, I'll have to ask him.
They don't wear costumes.
Nothing. They get a wave and a clap. He's like, yay, good job, you're still alive. And
And then when do you get into the substantive articles?
when we're done with all the pomp and circumstance. The first night, it's going to be about 9:15.
Or which set do you start with?
Number zoning, number 5. We get right into it.
You said the Arlington High School plan committee is going to give a presentation. That's not something, the select board already voted to have that on.
It's in the special. So during the special town meeting, which is the 29th, that is for the high school to vote if we're going to move forward with the high school. Under that, they're going to give a presentation.
But the select board already voted to have it on the ballot in June, so.
Yeah,
So what is that?
that's pending our moving forward.
Got it. Okay.
If we say no, then the ballot question's moot.
Got it.
Yeah, well, there may be a provision on the state law if town meeting says no, and so many high enough, I have to check it out. I think it's like high enough percentage of citizens vote, they can overrule town meeting. But I might be making that up. Don't always trust me. Anything else? Yep.
I have a technical question here. On Article 36, it is the vote/election modernization study group. And so to make it a general, it's to generalize it. It's a committee.
Yeah.
And the committee shall consist of 11 members, and it says like the town clerk or their designee, the town moderator or their designee, and so forth, blah, blah, blah. How does one, if one wanted to become, if you didn't want to be on a committee as the town moderator, how would someone say to you, I would like to do that, and you could get a bunch of whatever names and so forth?
The way I do it, and I know the others do it as well, if it's the town clerk or the manager or anybody, we put an ad in the Advocate and put it up on the website under committees. If you want to work on a committee, these are the committees we have available. Send a resume and a letter of interest to J.D. Leone at town, blah, 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 blah. Or I'll get 5 or 6 of them, and I only have one appointment. So I'll just share them with the clerk or the town manager, and I'll appoint somebody and let them know who I'm appointing so they don't appoint the same person. So I'll take recommendations and go through them and see who I think's qualified. So I probably appoint people to about, oh my gosh, at least a dozen committees. And that's the way we always handle it. Just
So that's usually in the paper right after that article is passed?
So after town meeting closes, the clerk puts together all the votes with the tallies on how we voted. She sends it to me. I go through and check against my records, make sure we're in agreement. Once I sign off on them, she sends it to the Attorney General. The Attorney General's office and Attorney General's office, and some go to the Secretary of State. They make sure what we've done is in conformance with state law, that we're not violating any state laws, and then they will send it back to us saying, yep, you're all good to go. And then come July 1st, the new fiscal year, all of these things are in place. So if we set up that committee, it won't be till the middle of the summer before we're asking for volunteers. And we're talking about next fiscal year when we talk about the budget starting July 1st. Moving forward, that's what we talk about. Anything else? Yeah?
When are we sworn in?
First night, and the second night, and the third night. Because some people don't show up the first night, some people don't show up to the second, so I'll ask, any new town meeting members who have not yet been sworn in? You'll stand up, and in this one, which is the letter on what's going to happen this year and how we're going to run things. There's the question and answer on the back, and the bottom is our oath of office. We rewrote that about 6 years ago to add the first paragraph. Basically, let's all be civil to each other, let's not call each other names, let's vote in the best interest of the town. That was all part of sticking to the rules, because in the old days, if I said something, whoa, Carolyn's got green pants on, I don't like it, and I'm going to vote against her because of that, she'd raise her hand and march to the front and say, point of personal privilege, and she would then harangue me. What a horrible person I was. I got rid of all that. So those are things that we just don't do anymore. Yeah, that's why we used to take 10 and 12 nights for town meeting. But that doesn't happen anymore. That's why we're civil to each other.
So it was like,
It was free for all.
Like the British Parliament?
Yeah. And actually, you say that, but if people start clapping after a vote, I'm going to gavel you down and say, we're not the British Parliament. We don't do that. Let's move on to the next article, because we're not here to congratulate ourselves. We're here to do the town's business. And
I think it's a 7 minutes limit. The 7 minutes limit was kind of relatively.
it is, yeah, we changed it. It was 15 minutes. Then it got changed back to 10, and it was 10 for the longest time. And I think in 2012, we changed it to 7.
I remember watching town meeting on TV and people just kept going
On and on and on. And so, you know, I'm going to give my 2-second spiel. There's about 3 or 4 town meeting members that go to 7 minutes. Most people get done in 2, 3, 4 minutes the most. The ones who go 7 minutes, either one, it takes them 2 minutes to warm up. They get up there and it takes them a minute to, they're not used to public speaking. It's kind of intimidating when you first get there because there's 250 people and the camera's looking at you, so you're a little deer in the headlights. Some people take a minute and a half to get going, and then they have good questions. Some people take the whole 7 minutes and they have a good spiel and they're telling me nice things. Some people just get up and plow through with a bunch of, I'm not sure what, for 7 minutes. Those are the ones we can't, in my opinion, we can't penalize the other 245 members who might have something good to say in 7 minutes because we don't like 1 or 2 people's speaking style. And it's not that much time. I mean, oh, the other thing I wanted to tell you about was the consent agenda. So, this is new. It's in here somewhere. We started using the consent agenda. Heck did it go? This will be our 3rd year using it. Something I introduced, and we're still working on it. So, probably the second night, because I said in my letter we're going to do it the first night, but because the FinCom's not going to get us their report to the first night, it's not fair that we didn't have a chance to look through the FinCom report, digest it, and vote on them. So I'm going to do it the second night. What I do is I'm going to read through these articles, and Article 10, zoning bylaw amendment, upper stories, blah, 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 Article 12. And if someone wants to take something off the consent agenda, they just have to yell out, hold. I'm going to strike it off, it goes back in the order. We'll talk about it when it gets to it. Otherwise, we're going to take 2 votes, 1 for the majority articles and 1 vote for the 2/3 vote articles. And that's it. We've now voted on 20 things, and we're done with them. So we've just eliminated a lot of things. A lot of these, like the zoning ones I put on here, are no action articles. They don't want to talk about them. I've received no substitute motions about them, so they're done. Yep.
No action, so these zoning articles are no action. That means
If otherwise no action, we would get to that article. I'd call Article 10. We have a recommended vote of no action. Nobody's given us a substitute motion. All in favor of no action, say yes. All opposed, say no, or do the clicker. So we would just vote it down and move to the next article. We have to dispose of them.
No, I understand that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to understand an 11th hour. So if people vote no, what happens?
Then we're going to go through them and vote yes at another time.
So it's the select board and the ARB who have to,
Based on the reports that I saw, I created this.
yes, but there are two parts of the government
Yeah?
that can move something forward or give no action, right?
Oh, no.
The select board.
The select board can, the FinCom can,
Oh,
the ARB can, the people that gave us the other 3% tax. CPA. Thank you. The CPA can move things forward. Any citizen can move something forward, not just those boards. They're just part of the town government that can do it, but you can, on a no action article,
Well, why do
because
they have to go through the select board?
they don't have to.
They don't.
No, they don't have to. The select board are going to have a hearing on it because they have a,
Say no action.
yeah. But you as a citizen, if you're one of those 10 who had your own citizen articles, which you'll look in the warrant, you can see what they are. It's going to say 10 registered voter article. Those people are just 10 registered voters got together, made an article, and they got to put together a motion. It's just technically called a substitute motion, but they've got to put that motion together. Otherwise, if I don't see anything, it's ending up on here as no action. And the other ones, the appropriations that you'll see here, like position reclassification. Every year we rename some town positions. We make the motor vehicle operator 1 a motor vehicle operator 1A. It just renames them. That's all we're doing there, and everybody unanimously votes to do it. The appropriations are like $5,000 for committees and commissions. We never even talk about them. For town celebrations and events, the money for the parade, the money for the veterans' flags, we just $7,000. We just give it to them. Our budget's it was almost 120 million last year. We spend a lot of money in town meeting. So these little tiny things, a couple $1,000, those we just pass like that. It's the big items we talk about. So no action is like a hold? No action's like dispose of it. Okay. Yeah, just toss it in the trash barrel. Okay. But we have to toss it in the trash barrel. We can't leave it on the table and not do something. Okay. So I have a list, and I keep of every single article. Before we adjourn and dissolve, I'm going to go through my list and make sure we disposed of every single article. So it's like housekeeping. Yeah, so I have a lot. You'll see me up there doing things. Just ignore me. Because I've got things I have to do as the moderator to keep track of everything. So we're going to go through the consent agenda. The 2/3, we have to vote certain things by 2/3. Bonding, buying property, disposing of property, putting money into stabilization funds, bonding, borrowing money. So things like that require 2/3 by state law. And I'll tell you what they are beforehand. That's, again, it's my job. I'll tell you what requires 2/3 and what doesn't, and it also will appear on the screen. So when you come in, there's the big screen. There's going to be the log-on information for the network, but it's also going to say Article 8 and tell us what that article is, and it's going to show what the recommended vote is, and then it's going to come to the vote, and it's going to give us the tally. We don't go through every time we vote who voted how on an article, but if 5 people rise up and say, I want to see how everyone voted, we will. We'll go through, I think it's 7 screens, 3 precincts per screen. It takes about 3 minutes. We'll go through and see how everybody voted. You can only do that if you think the votes were wrong. I don't think we did it at all last year. We do it in the first. We have a test question. Make sure your clicker works. You know, are the Red Sox going to win the pennant this year? You know, and we'll get 50 yeses and 200 no's. And then we'll run through those screens. Look for your precinct, look for your name, make sure your clicker voted right. Otherwise, it's going to kind of just happen. You're going to have questions, come up and see me during the break, come up and see me afterwards or beforehand. That's it. Any questions? Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.